Welcome back to another video. And today, what I'm looking at is an Algebra 1 2024 EOC exam. So we're looking at that. So let us take a look at this question here. So it says the earned run average A is calculated using the formula shown, where E is the number of earned runs and N is the number of innings. All right. So here is the question though. It says which equation correctly solve the formula for E? So you could see that this is the answer. But we want to make E the subject. And what do we mean? We want to isolate the E. So how did we get that as the answer? We are going to first get rid of this N. So we're going to multiply both sides by N. So on the right side, we would have canceled. So what are we left with? Here we're left with AN or NA. This is equal to 9E. And then in order to isolate that E, we're going to divide both sides by 9. So now you could see that E by itself is equal to AN over 9. And that is why this is the response for that. So for the second question, it says a function f shown. So what we have here is 7x plus 4y equal 14. Which graph represent the function? What I would want to do here is I'm going to first write the equation in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to write it in y equal to mx plus b format, right? So I'm going to write it in mx plus b format first. And when I do put it in MS plus B, then I'm going to look at some stuff. So let us take it. So 7x plus 4y, this is equal to 14. First, let us get this on that side, right? So we're isolating the 4y. We're going to have negative 7x plus 14. And then we divide throughout by 4. So y is equal to negative 7 fourth x plus, this is 3.5. So what we want to do now is to look for the key features. So this is my b value, my y-intercept. So I'm going to look for it. So definitely you could see that this is the answer. But let us look on why the others would work. This y-intercept is at 2, so it couldn't have been that. This y-intercept is at 2 as well, so it could not have been that. So we're left with these two. But what's going to make us pick A for the answer is the fact that my slope is the coefficient of x, and it is negative. So I'm looking for a line that moves from top left to bottom right, right? So in this case, this is a positive slope, and that is why this would have to be the answer. So we have to think carefully as we go. All right, inequality is shown. Which graph represent the solution set? We're going to do the same thing. We're going to make y the subject, and then we're going to decide, right? For example, if I have 4x plus 5y, and this is greater than or equal to 10, I'm going to write it in slope-intercept form. So 5y, it will be greater than or equal to, I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. So you're going to see the minus 4x here, and this is a positive 10. Lastly, I'm going to divide throughout by 5, right? So when I do that, y is greater than or equal to negative 4/5 x plus 2. So definitely my y-intercept, my b value, would have to be a plus 2. So if I scroll and I'm not seeing plus 2, well, I'm seeing all plus 2, so we're going to have to focus on something else. Another thing is that you're seeing that this is a negative slope here. Negative slope. So my line must be coming from top left to bottom right. So definitely it could not have been that line. It could not have been this line either. So it could. Now, what it is that we're going to check to look at is the shading. Now, whenever you're reading your your inequalities from where y is, because it says y is greater than or equal to. Greater than suggests that the shading must be on top of the line. And you're seeing here that the shading was on top of the line. And that is why C is the answer. You could see here that the shading was below the line, so it could not have been this either. All right, you could see it's a compound inequality. So we want to solve these. You could solve them separately and then see how they fit on our number line. For example, we're going to take 2x minus 1 less than or equal to 3. We're going to add 1 to both sides because we're solving. So we have 2x, which is less than or equal to 4. Then we divide both sides by 2. Now we're having that x must be less than or equal to 2. So that means, so this is one of our response where we're moving from 2, right, to negative infinity, all right? But let's talk about this first. So we have a half, all right, x plus 4, and this is greater than 7. We're going to subtract that 4 from both sides. Excuse me. We're going to subtract the 4 from both sides. So when we do that, what we're left with is a half x greater than 3. Then we are going to multiply both sides by 2. So x is greater than 6. So x is greater than 6. Remember though, whenever you're doing this on the number line, because we have x is greater than 6, I'm going to have an open circle. I'm not going to shade it at 6. So it could not be this. Okay? Also, because x must be less than or equal to 2, I'm going to have a closed circle at 2. So there's a difference. It's going to be closed at 2, but it has to be open, unshaded then. So I need an unshaded circle at 6, but a shaded circle at 2. So we're looking for that. And you could see right here, right? You see it here, you see here. And those are the things that you look for as you're picking your answer. So the answer right there is definitely A. All right, let's take a look at another question. It says here, it says here, it says, in an inequality is shown. We're looking at it. So it is negative 3x. We add 7, and that is greater than or equal to negative x minus 5. What we want to do to solve this for the set of values of x is we need to collect our x's on one side, so it's up to us how we want to do it, right? So let us say I want to collect the x's on the left side. If I'm going to collect the x's on the left side, I'm going to add x here and balance the equation by adding x. What we're left with is negative 3x plus x will give us negative 2x plus 7 greater than or equal to negative 5. Let us remove that positive 7. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. So what are we left with? Negative 2x, this becomes 0, is greater than or equal to negative 12. And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative, right? By negative 2. Now, the thing is, whenever you divide by a negative number, your inequality will flip side. So what happened is x will now be less than or equal to. So you notice there's a switch in terms of the sign right there. Take a look at it. It was greater than, now it's going to be less than, and that is because I divided by a negative number. If I had multiplied by a negative number, it would flip just the same. So we have 6. So the response I'm looking for is that x must be less than or equal to 6. And we're seeing this right here, right? So this is it. Thank you for watching this channel. Subscribe to Simple Math, and then like this video, share it. We'll see you next time where we'll be looking at more videos.